Imagine waking up in Bataan and being in Cavite in just 45 minutes without stepping foot in Metro Manila. Picture yourself boarding a train underground in Valenzuela and emerging at the airport in 35 minutes flat. Think about flying into an airport that handles triple the passengers of the busiest gateway today, built on reclaimed land rising from Manila Bay. This is not science fiction. This is the Philippines in 2030, and the transformation happening right now is nothing short of extraordinary. Right at this very moment, across the Philippine archipelago, a construction revolution is underway that will fundamentally reshape how 115 million Filipinos live, work, and move. We are talking about a $176 billion infrastructure wave that is connecting islands separated by centuries of isolation, building the nation's first underground railway beneath the gridlock streets of Manila, and constructing bridges that span distances most countries would never dare attempt. The machines are running, the concrete is pouring, and the future is taking shape before our eyes. The scale of what is happening cannot be overstated. From the mountains of Luzon to the coastlines of Visayas, cranes dot the skyline and tunnel-boring machines carve pathways through bedrock. This is the story of how a nation once notorious for the worst traffic in Asia decided to completely reimagine itself. And the countdown to 2030 has already begun. Let us start with what may be the most ambitious single project in Philippine history. Deep beneath the chaotic streets of Metro Manila, where traffic has strangled economic growth for decades, an underground revolution is literally taking shape. The Metro Manila subway project is not just another train line. It is the country's first underground mass transit system, a 33-kilometer serpent of steel and concrete that will forever change urban mobility in the capital. Construction began in earnest in 2019, but the real transformation started when massive tunnel-boring machines, each weighing over 600 tons and measuring nearly 7 meters in diameter, began chewing through the earth beneath some of the most densely populated neighborhoods in Southeast Asia. These mechanical beasts are Japanese-made marvels of engineering, and they are doing something the Philippines has never attempted before on this scale. As of early 2026, right-of-way acquisition has reached over 90% completion, a massive achievement considering that land disputes have historically killed infrastructure projects in their tracks. What makes this subway truly revolutionary is not just the technology, but the sheer audacity of the route. 17 stations will connect Valenzuela in the north all the way down to Bicutan in the south, with a special branch shooting off to Ninoy Aquino International Airport. When you consider that Metro Manila is home to over 13 million people crushed into an area smaller than Singapore, you begin to understand why this project matters so desperately. The subway will slash travel times by up to 70%. A journey that currently takes an hour and 38 minutes in bumper-to-bumper traffic will take just 45 minutes underground. The construction is happening in multiple contract packages simultaneously. Stations at Camp Aguinaldo, Ortigas Avenue, Shaw Boulevard, and North Avenue are all under active construction right now. Japanese contractors like Sumitomo Mitsui Construction and Shimizu Corporation are bringing decades of Tokyo subway expertise to Manila's unique challenges, and the challenges are immense. Some sections of the tunnel must go as deep as 47 meters underground to navigate around building foundations, avoid disrupting surface structures, and accommodate the complex geology beneath the city. The cost is staggering at 488 billion pesos, funded largely through low-interest loans from the Japan International Cooperation Agency. But the economic return will be even larger. When fully operational by 2032, the subway will serve an estimated 370,000 passengers daily in its initial years, eventually scaling up to handle 1.5 million daily riders. For a city where people lose hours of their lives sitting in traffic, this is more than infrastructure. This is giving people back their time, their productivity, and their sanity. But the subway is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. While workers burrow beneath Manila, another mega project is rising from the waters of Manila Bay itself. The new Manila International Airport in Bulacan represents the largest land reclamation project in the history of Royal Boscalis Westminster, one of the world's premier dredging companies. And what they are building is genuinely breathtaking in scope. Picture a 2,500-hectare airport city being constructed on land that did not exist a few years ago. This is not just an airport, it is an entirely new urban center rising from Manila Bay, 35 kilometers north of the capital. The project, led by San Miguel Corporation, with a price tag of 735 billion pesos, will eventually handle 100 million passengers annually when fully completed. To put that in perspective, Ninoy Aquino International Airport, the current main gateway, struggles with 40 million passengers despite being designed for only 30 million. The Bulacan Airport will have triple that capacity at full build-out. The construction timeline is aggressive. Land development activities, which involve filling and stabilizing reclaimed land, reached approximately 80% completion by late 2025, though challenges with sourcing fill sand have pushed the original timeline back slightly. The passenger terminal building is scheduled to begin construction in January 2026, with the entire first phase targeting completion by November 2028. That first phase alone will accommodate 35 million passengers per year and will feature 2 parallel runways with room to expand to 4 and eventually 6 runways as demand grows.
What sets this airport apart is its vision as a green, sustainable facility. Solar energy utilization, rainwater collection systems, eco-friendly building designs, and a comprehensive waste management strategy are all built into the master plan. Even transportation to and from the airport emphasizes sustainability, with electric trikes planned for airport transfers. The airport will be connected to Metro Manila through an 8-kilometer airport toll road linking to the North Luzon Expressway and eventually through an extension of the MRT 7 railway line, ensuring seamless connectivity. The sheer engineering involved in creating this much land from the sea is staggering. Millions of cubic meters of fill material must be carefully placed, compacted, and stabilized to create a foundation strong enough to support runways, terminals, and eventually an entire city. The Dutch are masters at this, having spent centuries reclaiming land from the North Sea, and they are applying that expertise to Manila Bay. This airport is not just about moving people. It is about transforming Bulacan from a secondary province into a major economic hub, creating over 1 million jobs and establishing the Philippines as a genuine aviation powerhouse in Southeast Asia. While the subway digs down and the airport rises up, another megaproject aims to do something even more audacious. Connecting 2 provinces separated by one of the busiest bays in the world. The Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge is one of those projects that makes engineers around the world stop and take notice. This is not a small undertaking. This is a 32.15-kilometer engineering marvel that will span Manila Bay, becoming one of the longest marine bridges on the planet. The bridge will connect Mariveles and Bataan to Naic and Cavite, effectively creating a shortcut across the entire bay. Right now, if you want to drive from Bataan to Cavite, you are looking at a 5 to 6 hour nightmare that forces you to circumnavigate Metro Manila through some of the worst traffic corridors in the country. Once this bridge is complete, that same journey will take 45 minutes. The economic implications are profound. Suddenly, the entire loop around Manila Bay becomes viable for daily commerce, tourism, and commuting. Construction is divided into 7 major contract packages. Package 1 covers the 5-kilometer Bataan land approach. Package 2 handles the 1.35-kilometer Cavite land approach. Packages 3 and 4 involve the construction of 20.65 kilometers of marine viaducts spanning the waters of the bay. Then come the real showstoppers. Package 5 is the North Channel Bridge, a 2.15-kilometer cable-stayed structure with towers soaring 142 meters into the sky and a main span of 400 meters to allow ships to pass underneath. Package 6 is even more impressive. The South Channel Bridge stretches 3.15 kilometers with towers reaching 304 meters tall and a main span of 900 meters, making it one of the longest cable-stayed spans in the world. About 80% of this entire structure will be built over open water, meaning construction will happen from floating platforms, barges, and specialized marine equipment. The engineering complexity is immense. Foundations must be driven deep into the seabed in waters up to 50 meters deep. The bridges must withstand typhoons, earthquakes, and the relentless corrosive power of salt water. The design incorporates state-of-the-art climate resilience features because this bridge is being built to last generations. Funding for the project comes from a multi-tranche financing scheme. The Asian Development Bank committed $2.1 billion, with another $1.14 billion in co-financing from the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and the Philippine government covering the remaining $664 million. The first tranche of financing was signed in December 2023, and bidding for the initial contract packages began in 2024. Construction on the land approaches is scheduled to begin before the end of 2025, with full completion targeted for 2029. This bridge is more than a road. It is a statement. For decades, the islands and provinces of the Philippines have been separated not just by water but by the sheer difficulty and expense of connecting them. This bridge says those days are over. It says the Philippines is ready to invest in the kinds of world-class infrastructure that will unite the nation and unleash economic potential that has been held back for far too long. Now, imagine all these projects not as isolated efforts but as interconnected pieces of a master plan. That is exactly what is happening under the Build Better More program, the infrastructure vision driving development across the entire country. Approved by the current administration, this program encompasses 194 infrastructure flagship projects worth a combined 10.2 trillion pesos, or approximately $176 billion. These projects span every conceivable sector including public transport, power generation, health facilities, information technology networks, water resources, and agricultural infrastructure.
The investment is unprecedented. In 2025 alone, the government allocated approximately $27.4 billion to infrastructure, representing over 5.8% of the nation's GDP. This is not token spending. This is a fundamental reordering of national priorities toward building the physical and digital backbone that a modern economy requires. And the results are already visible. Take the Luzon Spine Expressway network, a massive roadway system that is unifying the major expressways of Luzon into a single interconnected north-south backbone. This network connects existing major routes like the North Luzon Expressway, the South Luzon Expressway, the Skyway stages, and the Cavitex with new corridors like the Central Luzon Link Expressway. Once completed, travel times across the entire island will be slashed. The journey from Cavitex to the South Luzon Expressway, which currently takes about an hour, will drop to roughly 35 minutes via the Cavite-Laguna Expressway, which is already 59% complete and slated for finish in 2026. The Central Luzon Link Expressway, known as CLLEX, is progressing in phases. Phase 1, connecting Tarlac to Cabanatuan over approximately 30 kilometers, is expected to become operational by July 2025. Phase 2, extending further to San Jose, is already under construction. These are not small roads. These are modern, high-speed expressways designed to move goods and people efficiently across the entire length of Luzon, reducing logistics costs and opening up previously isolated regions to economic development. Then there is the MRT-7, a 22-kilometer elevated rapid transit line connecting San Jose del Monte in Bulacan to North Avenue in Quezon City, with 14 stations along the route. Construction on MRT-7 is over 83% complete as of mid-2025, and partial operations with 12 stations are expected to begin by the fourth quarter of 2025, with full operations following by 2026 or 2027. Once operational, this line will drastically reduce travel time from a grueling 2-hour drive down to about 35 minutes, easing congestion along Commonwealth Avenue and improving accessibility between Metro Manila and Bulacan. An 11.7-kilometer extension adding 8 new stations is already in the pipeline, and the project is expected to serve up to 800,000 passengers daily at full capacity. Property values along the MRT-7 corridor are skyrocketing even before the trains start running because everyone knows what happens when accessibility improves. Developers are moving in, building transit-oriented communities, and the entire region is being transformed from suburban backwater to connected urban center. Interconnectivity is the key word here. The subway will connect with MRT-7 at the North Triangle Common Station, which is also under construction. This station will become a critical hub where passengers can transfer between the Metro Manila subway, MRT-3, LRT-1, and MRT-7, creating a truly integrated rapid transit network. For decades, Manila's rail lines operated as isolated systems with no easy transfers. That is changing. The Grand Unified Central Station, another flagship project targeted for completion during the current administration, will link multiple railway lines into a seamless network, making it possible to travel across the entire metro area without needing a car. The North-South Commuter Railway is another game changer. This 147-kilometer elevated railway line will connect 3 entire regions of Luzon, including Metro Manila, and is expected to benefit about 800,000 passengers daily in its opening year. As of mid-2024, the Tutuban to Malolos segment was 42% complete, the Malolos to Clark segment was 31% complete, and the Manila to Calamba segment was just under 6% complete. These percentages are climbing steadily as construction accelerates. What all these rail projects share is ambition and scale. The Philippines is not tinkering around the edges. It is building an entirely new transportation ecosystem from scratch, one that will reduce dependence on cars, cut carbon emissions, and give millions of people access to opportunities that were previously out of reach because of time and distance. Energy infrastructure is also getting massive investment. The Philippines has committed to increasing the share of renewable energy in the total power mix from 22% in 2023 to 35% by 2030 and 50% by 2040. This is not just an environmental commitment. It is an economic one. Renewable energy reduces dependence on imported fossil fuels, stabilizes energy costs, and positions the Philippines as a leader in clean energy transition in Southeast Asia. Major solar and wind projects are being developed across the country. Masdar, the UAE clean energy leader, signed agreements in 2025 to develop 1 gigawatt of clean energy projects in the Philippines by 2030, combining solar, wind, and battery energy storage systems. Gurin Energy completed a 75-megawatt solar plant, its first operational project in the country. The Philippine National Oil Company and the Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center partnered to explore hybrid solar and wind energy solutions specifically for underserved communities, bringing sustainable power to remote areas that have never had reliable electricity. The Batangas LNG terminal, operated by First Gen, received a 25-year permit and is considered a key factor in ensuring energy security. The terminal fuels 4 natural gas-fired power plants with a combined capacity of 2,017 megawatts and was declared an energy project of national significance. While natural gas is not renewable, it is a cleaner transitional fuel than coal, and having a secure domestic supply reduces vulnerability to global energy shocks. The Dambantayan Solar Project and the Calayan 2 wind farm in Laguna, along with a planned 156-megawatt wind farm in Pantabangan, represent just a fraction of the renewable pipeline. These projects are not future plans. They are either completed or under active construction right now. The energy transformation is happening in parallel with the transportation revolution, and together they are creating the conditions for sustained economic growth. Connectivity is also being tackled through a series of inter-island bridge projects that sound almost too ambitious to believe. The Panay-Guimaras-Negros Island bridges, part of the Inter-Island Linkage Bridge program, will span a total of 32.47 kilometers linking Iloilo to Guimaras to Negros Occidental. Civil works are expected to begin in mid-2025, with full completion targeted by 2030. These bridges will eliminate the need for ferries between these islands, cutting travel time, reducing costs, and creating a unified economic zone across the 3 provinces. These are not the only inter-island bridges in the program. There are 12 bridge projects in total, ranging from short local links to mega crossings over sea lanes. The goal is to physically connect the archipelago in ways that have never been possible before, eliminating connectivity gaps and creating seamless travel across regions. For a country made up of over 7,000 islands, this is transformative. It means goods can move faster, tourism can flourish, and economic development does not have to stop at the water's edge. The impact of all this construction goes far beyond moving people and goods. Real estate markets are being completely reshaped. Property values along the MRT-7 corridor, near future subway stations, and in areas adjacent to new expressways are climbing dramatically even before the projects are complete. Developers are racing to build transit-oriented residential and commercial developments because they know the demand will be enormous. Areas like Antipolo, Bacoor, and San Fernando, which were previously considered too far from Metro Manila for daily commuting, are now being repositioned as attractive suburban hubs with fast connections to the city center. The Philippines construction market was valued at $43.44 billion in 2025 and is projected to grow to $63.77 billion by 2031, representing a compound annual growth rate of 6.61%. Infrastructure is the fastest-growing segment within this market, outpacing even residential construction because of the sheer volume of government spending and the complexity of the projects being undertaken. Major construction firms like DMCI Holdings, Megawide Construction, EEI Corporation, San Miguel Infrastructure, and Metro Pacific Tollways are all experiencing record backlogs and are hiring aggressively to meet demand. Foreign investors are paying attention. The Luzon Economic Corridor has attracted commitments of approximately $100 billion from international investors who see the infrastructure transformation as a signal that the Philippines is serious about becoming a major player in global manufacturing and logistics. Foreign direct investment is flowing into high-profile manufacturing plants, steel production facilities, and cement factories because investors know that infrastructure is the foundation upon which everything else is built. The workforce demands are staggering. Infrastructure projects on this scale require tens of thousands of skilled workers including engineers, heavy equipment operators, welders, electricians, and project managers. The Philippines is facing labor shortages in some specialized areas, and the government is responding with training programs and skills development initiatives to build the workforce needed to sustain this construction boom. The construction sector now contributes 7.7% of GDP, up from 6.8% just a year earlier, and that share is expected to keep growing. The challenges are real. Rising material costs and supply chain disruptions have created significant hurdles. Cement producers are grappling with energy inflation and shipping constraints. Despite having a domestic kiln capacity of 51 million tons, only 53% is in use, making the Philippines the world's third-largest cement importer. Steel Asia is responding with an ambitious $1.15 billion expansion to boost rebar production to 6 million tons by 2027, but contractors in island provinces still face freight premiums of up to 25% because of logistics bottlenecks. Right-of-way acquisition remains one of the most persistent challenges. For decades, infrastructure projects in the Philippines died slow deaths in court battles over land acquisition. Property owners could tie up projects for years with legal challenges, and the government often lacked the legal tools to move forward efficiently. That is changing. The AERO Act, a new legal framework for right-of-way acquisition, is dramatically speeding up the process. For the Metro Manila subway, right-of-way acquisition jumped from 50% to over 90% in just a few years because the new law provides clearer processes and reduces opportunities for endless litigation. But even with challenges, the momentum is undeniable. The construction is happening. The tunnel boring machines are underground. The bridge foundations are being poured in Manila Bay. The solar panels are being installed. The train cars are being manufactured. This is not a plan on paper anymore. This is steel, concrete, and sweat transforming the landscape of an entire nation. By 2030, the Philippines that emerges will be fundamentally different from the one that existed in 2020. A commuter in Valenzuela will be able to board a subway train and reach the airport in 35 minutes. A business owner in Bataan will be able to drive across Manila Bay to Cavite in less than an hour, opening up entirely new markets. A family in Bulacan will be able to take a fast, modern train into Quezon City in a fraction of the time it takes today. Travelers from around the world will arrive at a gleaming new international airport built to world-class standards with capacity to spare. The economic growth unlocked by these projects will ripple through every sector. Tourism will boom because getting around the country will be easier. Manufacturing will expand because logistics costs will drop. Real estate development will surge because accessibility drives demand. Job creation will accelerate because infrastructure projects need workers, and the economic activity they enable creates even more employment opportunities. This is the story of a nation deciding that it will no longer accept being held back by infrastructure that belongs in the last century. This is the story of leaders, engineers, workers, and communities coming together to build something that will serve generations. This is the story of the Philippines in 2030, and it is being written right now, 1 kilometer of track, 1 meter of tunnel, 1 bridge pylon at a time. The transformation is not just physical. It is psychological. For too long, Filipinos have been told that world-class infrastructure is something that happens in other countries. Singapore has it. Tokyo has it. But not here. That narrative is being shattered. When the subway trains start running beneath Manila, when the first flights take off from Bulacan, when drivers cross the Bataan-Cavite bridge for the first time, something will shift in the national consciousness. It will prove that the Philippines can dream big and deliver big. The next 5 years will be critical. Construction timelines are ambitious, and delays are inevitable given the scale and complexity involved. But the direction is set. The investments are committed. The contracts are signed. The work is underway. And barring catastrophic disruptions, the Philippines of 2030 will showcase infrastructure that rivals any country in Southeast Asia. This is more than concrete and steel. This is about mobility, opportunity, and dignity. It is about a mother being able to get to work without losing 3 hours of her day in traffic. It is about a young graduate being able to access job opportunities that were previously out of reach. It is about businesses being able to move goods efficiently without crippling logistics costs. It is about a nation taking control of its own future and building the foundation for prosperity. The 12 infrastructure giants reshaping the Philippines are not just projects. They are a declaration. They are a statement that this nation is ready to compete on the global stage, ready to give its people the quality of life they deserve, and ready to build a future that matches its aspirations. The revolution is here. The future is being built. And by 2030, the Philippines will stand as proof that vision, investment, and determination can transform an entire country. The countdown is on, and the world is watching.